This is the SAU Report, a program featuring interviews with the faculty, staff, students, and alumni of Southern Arkansas University in Magnolia.
Welcome to this edition of the SAU Report. I'm Tamika Gulley.
And I'm Jamey Giddens. Today our guest is the current Miss SAU, who also happens to be Miss Magnolia, Natalie Cantley. Natalie, how did it feel when they told you that you'd won Miss Magnolia?
It was wonderful. It's a pageant that I've been looking to win for many years now. They have a wonderful association, and they always produce wonderful girls at the Miss Arkansas pageant, and I know that it's going to be a wonderful year.
Natalie, how did winning Miss Magnolia compare to winning Miss SAU?
Well, I have to say that they were pretty much the same because I worked very hard to get to Miss SAU after many, many losses. And I have to say that Miss SAU will always stand out in my mind because it was the first pageant that I'd ever won. And it was such an exciting night. And the competition was very stiff, but then also Miss Magnolia was the same idea. The competition was tough. I had a lot of good girls to compete with, and it was definitely a pageant that I wanted very bad.
When did you decide you wanted to participate in pageants?
I think I decided somewhere in junior high school, and I did a teen pageant or two, but I really got serious about competing around my senior year of high school and entered a local Miss Arkansas preliminary and crossed it. And then when I came to Magnolia and became a student at SAU, decided to enter the Miss SAU pageant.
How did your friends and family react to your new pageant life?
My parents were very supportive, but my dad was a little leery, didn't want to spend a lot of money and get me into something that he didn't think that I would stick with, but now they've seen what it's done for me, and I'm a whole new person, and they're all very supportive. We have a lot of friends coming a long way just to be at the Miss Arkansas pageant this year.
Speaking of friends and family, tell us a little bit about your childhood.
I had a wonderful childhood. I have to thank my parents for that. They're two wonderful people, very supportive, very loving. I was raised in a Christian home. My parents went to First Baptist Church, and that's where I was raised in Crossett. The school system in Crossett's wonderful, which I have to say that because my mother's on the school board there and has been for 17 years. And it's just a wonderful atmosphere, a nice small town. We had a lot of trials and tribulations. A lot of things happened in my life when I was younger and in high school, but we overcame them thanks to our strong family support, and I had a great childhood.
What are some of the negative and also the positive aspects of your childhood that have made you into the person that you are today?
Well, I'll begin with positives. That would have to be my family. Not only my mom and dad, but I have a wonderful older sister who was a great role model in life. I have two wonderful grandparents, my mother's parents, and also my father's parents were wonderfully supportive, loving, always wanted to know what was going on in my life. Aunts and uncles always involved in what I was doing and came to see me participate in different things. That would have to be a positive. The wonderful education that I got at Crossett helped me to become who I am. Negatives would have to be my parents didn't have a lot of money when I was younger, and so I was picked on a lot because of that. Of course, I had braces and glasses like most other children, and as usual, picked on for those things also. And at the age of 8, I was molested, but not to the point where most people would think. It was very slight, and we prosecuted, but that's a big thing for an 8-year-old to handle. But I've definitely overcome those things, and I would have to say that those things shaped me to become exactly who I am today.
Did you have to go through therapy as a result of being molested at such a young age?
Yes, I did. Not until I was a little bit older, but I had a wonderful, wonderful therapist in Crossett that not only helped me overcome that, but overcome having attention deficit disorder also, which was a hard thing for me to deal with because it was hard to pay attention in school, which resulted in my low grades, which made me not feel as good about myself as I could have. And she was wonderful and very supportive and very kind.
If you have to pick one person in your life as an overall role model, who would it be and why?
That's a tough question. I would have to say my grandmother. She's a wonderful person. She overcame many things in her life as a young child, many things that she had to deal with as far as her family. She married my grandfather at the age of 16, and they later had my mother and my aunt, and they struggled for many years without having a lot of money and things like that. They moved across it and started over, and she's a wonderful, wonderful Christian lady, someone who's always worried about others and what they had over what she had. She's always been loving, gave as much as she could to her grandchildren and to her children and to anyone else that she could. And I would have to say that that's someone that I would have to model my life after.
Let's get back to your pageant experience. What's your platform?
My platform now is the prevention and awareness of child molestation. We've decided to go with that because it is something that's very near and dear to my heart, something that I've experienced, and I feel that it's something that I can relate to the children with. We plan on making a large book, probably poster size for each page, which will explain what strangers are, where you're not to be touched, and who's not to do certain things to you. We're going to present this to the children along with, I'll probably perform and just talk to the children one-on-one, get to know them a little better and let them know a little bit about myself and where I came from and how I got to where I am today. And I also hope to try to get a few new bills passed in the legislature here in Arkansas, such as Megan's Law, which is something that Arkansas doesn't have. Arkansas does have a sex offender registry, which is if someone has been convicted of being a sex offender, they have to register in the state of Arkansas no matter where they live. But Megan's Law is a little bit different than that. They have to register, but they also have to notify their community that a sex offender has moved into the neighborhood and that town. So if someone who'd been convicted of a sexual misdemeanor had moved into Magnolia, they would have to let not only their neighbors know, but the town of Magnolia, which I feel is very important because you can't feel safe knowing that your children are on the streets and you never know what happened. And that's exactly what happened to the little girl Megan that this law was named after.
What would you say to the people who would say that the sex offender had served his debt to society?
Personally, I feel that that person has mental disabilities to be able to do that to a child. I can't imagine, honestly cannot imagine someone that could do such a thing to a child and live with themselves. But those people obviously have a problem somewhere, and I don't feel that they ever fully recover. I do believe that they can serve in society and be good for their community, but that's the price that you pay for something that you do, because you don't realize that they could have ruined that child's life forever.
What are some of the scholarships that you've been awarded through your pageant success?
I've won wonderful scholarships. Probably the biggest so far would be when I won Miss SAU, and I got 2 semesters tuition to this school. And then as a part of winning Miss Magnolia, I got a $1,000 scholarship, and I've received many other $200 to $500 scholarships for placing in pageants.
How has being in pageants affected your personal life?
Well, I would say it's greatly affected my personal life. I don't have a lot of time. But I would say that my friends have been wonderful, and they stick by me when I can't call them for a week or 2 weeks, or I can't get on the email because I'm very busy. But I would definitely say it's affected it because you just don't have a lot of time.
Do you think that people are envious towards you because of your success?
I wouldn't call it envious. Some people are a little jealous. Personally, I don't see why of me, because when someone says, oh, they're just jealous, I say, of me, I don't think so. If they had my life, they would say, okay, I'll take mine back now. But I wouldn't quite say it's envious. I think that some people may find things that they don't like about you simply because of who you are, and they'll bring those out, or even make up things, which has happened to me a lot lately, that people will make up things that never happened, and which is pretty amazing when someone comes up to you and says, hey, guess what I heard about you today? And you're saying, well, wow, I sure do wish I had known that I had done that. That happens a lot, and that's a big thing that I'm not the only one that deals with that. Our current Miss Arkansas deals with that, and many other Miss Arkansas that I know, and also other preliminary title holders.
So how do you balance it all, your college life with your pageant life and trying to be a normal 20-something?
Well, it's tough. One problem that I have is I'm a big procrastinator. So a lot of things get done last, which would definitely be my schoolwork. But But I have to just remember to go to bed early, get enough sleep, because I'm going to have a full day ahead of me no matter what. Between going to class all day and then going to the gym for a few hours, coming home and trying to clean my house and cook for myself, and then be a friend when I'm needed and be Miss Magnolia when that's needed. It's tough, but it's something that I've worked very hard to achieve, so every day I'm grateful just to be able to do it.
Now that you've won Miss Magnolia, has your focus shifted solely to competing in the Miss Arkansas pageant?
Most of my focus definitely has. I only have 4 months as of now to prepare for the Miss Arkansas pageant. We have a lot of plans in store. As I said, I'm working out, which is a very important part of competing in a pageant. You have to have a nice body. And then also getting ready for talent. We are preparing to meet with a man in Texarkana to make my background tape for my singing at Miss Arkansas, and also shopping and buying clothes and things like that. That's a very important part, and we're preparing for that.
So what's more important, your platform or your talent part of the competition?
Personally, my platform. Interview is only 30% of your overall score at Miss Arkansas. But I can tell you right now that if they don't like you in interview and you have the most wonderful talent there, you will not win Miss Arkansas. You could walk away with talent, score the most points by every judge, but you have to come across as someone who's able to handle the job. And more often than not, you're going to be promoting your platform than your talent. The new Miss Arkansas, Erin Wheatley, told me that she spends every day with her platform. When you go into schools, you speak to children, you speak to adults, and what you're speaking to them about is your platform, not about your talent and not about singing or music or whatever your talent may be. It's your platform. So I would definitely say that that's the most important thing.
How many young ladies are competing in the Miss Arkansas pageant?
Well, this year there's going to be 48. They've added a new pageant to the system. Last year I competed with 47 girls. This year they're going to have 48, and I think it's going to be a great pageant, a lot of good competition.
When will the pageant be held?
The pageant preliminary is June 16th through the 20th, and we have Wednesday night, Thursday night, and Friday night preliminary competition, and then Saturday night is the final where they call it the top 10, and those girls will redo their swimsuit interview, swimsuit evening gown and talent.
What do you think your chances are of winning?
Well, I wouldn't say that they're very high. Right now my goal is to possibly be in the top 10. It would be wonderfully awesome to be named at the top 5 and place in the Miss Arkansas pageant. I think that I need a lot of work before I could handle the job of Miss Arkansas. It's a big responsibility and a big honor, but I would definitely say that this year's probably not my year.
What kind of awards will the winner receive?
The winner receives nearly $15,000 in scholarships. She gets a car for the year, lots of clothes, lots of makeup, lots of gifts from all over the state, and then the recognition of being Arkansas's #1 girl.
If you do win Miss Arkansas, what's next? What's in store for you?
Well, I would have to give a year to the Miss Arkansas system, which would mean giving up going to school for a year, which I probably wouldn't mind too much right now. And then competing at the Miss America pageant, which is 2 weeks. You spend a week in Disneyland and a week in Atlantic City. And it would just require you to do a lot of traveling every day all over the state of Arkansas, promoting your platform and promoting a better Arkansas.
With all the media attention surrounding pageants because of the Jamey Ramsey case, what would you say about the negative aspects of pageant life?
Well, there's a big difference in the Jamey Ramsey case and the pageants that she participated in and the Miss Arkansas system. The Miss Arkansas system promotes education. You have to have a 2-point to compete. You have to use the scholarship money only for scholarships and only to go to school. You can't buy a car with the money that you win or buy other things. It can only go to education, which I think is a big difference. Yes, JonBenet won scholarship money when she won things, but she was very young, and I think that it taught her to be older before her time, more mature before her time. And the Miss Arkansas system promotes you being you for who you are.
With all your experience on the stage, do you think that sometime in the future you might perform professionally?
Well, that's a tough question. It would be really awesome to be Miss Arkansas and possibly go to the Miss America pageant and someone say, here, we'd love to put you on television, we'd love to put you in the movies. Of course, I think every child would love to make all that money and have all that recognition, but I think my goal right now is to graduate from here at SAU, possibly get my master's in education, and just teach and start a family and just be happy wherever I am.
I heard you say earlier about having a good body as a good part of the whole process of being in pageants. How do you feel about the whole body obsessive culture that surrounds pageants?
Well, I think that they do place too much emphasis sometimes on the body, because I don't think that your weight or your height or your muscle stamina should have anything to do with whether you're the most capable person of winning Miss Arkansas. But I also feel that someone who's going to be speaking to children and representing the state should be someone who is fit and healthy, someone who can say it's good to have a habit of good nutrition and exercise, because we should stay healthy to stay alive longer and be a more productive citizen.
You said that you participated in pageants as a teenager. Is there any particular age that you think is too young to participate in pageants?
Well, I hate to offend mothers who put their newborn babies in pageants, but maybe that's not too young because the child has no idea what they're doing. They're just in a dress and their mother's holding them. But I think when the child doesn't understand why they've lost, that's way too soon. I was asked to judge a pageant last year of kindergartners, and there was one little girl left out who didn't win anything. And I just wanted to cry because she didn't understand why she didn't win. She was just too young. And I think that when you're old enough and you have the maturity to understand that you can't win every pageant that you compete in, then that's definitely when you're old enough to start competing.
Well, do you think that dressing up little girls to look like women could somehow enhance pedophiles?
I definitely do think so. That's a great question, and that's a wonderful thing that parents need to be aware of, because all the media surrounding the Jamey Ramsey case, for instance, people made a huge deal out of this, but these pageants have been going on forever. And it's like they didn't notice until a child got murdered, but she looked so adult in her pictures and so grown up in her clothes. I do think that pedophiles notice those things, and I think that you may find one or two around those younger children's systems.
You said that you work out pretty often. Has being in pageants altered your diet any, your eating habits?
Well, my friends are going to disagree with this, but yes, I think it has. I try to watch what I eat sometimes, not all the time, and I think it makes you more aware of what you're eating and how much fat is in something and how unhealthy something is for you. I've definitely cut back on junk food, not caffeine, but junk food.
So what do you think about women who use cosmetic surgery to enhance their looks for pageants?
Well, I think that's totally up to that person. I think that inner beauty is definitely more important than outward beauty. And a lot of people say, oh, that's a typical pageant answer. She's supposed to say that you're looking for what's on the inside and not what's on the outside. But there are a lot of things that I would like to change about myself. But one thing that probably the best advice I've ever been given was, you stay who you are. And I think that the face that I was born with and the body that I was born with is what I need to stick with.
Would you ever consider having cosmetic surgery to better your chances of winning a pageant?
Oh, well, I'd love to. I would definitely love to. And there's two things that I'd love to just change, but my mother would kill me if I told you what they were. I would definitely, if I had the money and didn't need it to pay my rent or pay for my education, if it was money to burn, I'd do it.
Knowing all the positives and negatives that you do about pageant life, if you had a daughter, would you allow her to participate in one?
I would allow my daughter to participate only when she was ready. I think she would have to come to me and say, Mom, you know, I was looking through some videos or some pictures of you when you were in pageants, and I think I'd really like to do that. And I would give her an honest opportunity to start. But the day that she got a bad attitude about it and thought that she should have won over someone else and things like that, that's the day I'd have to pull her out of it. And I can't say that I've never had that attitude, because I definitely have. but I've learned from it, and I know now that you support the winner no matter what, because they obviously did something that the judges liked, and they were picked the person best suited for the job, and that you should support them wholly.
Speaking of your future family, have you already met that special someone?
Well, actually, I don't believe that I have. He may be right here next to me. He may be a good friend of mine, someone that I've dated. I don't know that yet, and no, I don't have a boyfriend. I'm very, very single at the moment.
So what are some of the qualities you'd look for in your perfect man?
Well, I think that the first thing I look for is a great sense of humor. I like to have fun, and I like to laugh and just have a good time and just act stupid. I don't care if I'm 21 years old and I'm supposed to be an adult. I want to live life to the fullest and just have a good time. So that would probably be the number one thing I would look for. And then someone that is honest and caring, and someone that will treat me as good as my father treats my mother and love her more than anything on earth.
Is there any advice that you would give to young girls competing in pageants?
Well, I would have to say again, I said this earlier, I would have to tell them not to lose themselves in the system, which is something that I fell prey to before, and it's something that I think is very important. You need to remember who you are and where you came from and what you stand for. And that's something that I lost somewhere along the way and that I had to get back. And I think that once I got that back, that put me on my road to success.
Natalie, what do you like to do when it's time to unwind, to forget about school and pageant life? Do you go out with your girlfriends or what? Just what do you do to hang out?
Well, you know, one of my greatest hobbies is riding horses. And I don't have the opportunity to do that as much here because the horses that I ride are at home in Crosset, but that's something I love to do. And I used to, when I'd get out of school in the afternoon and I've had a bad day, just go ride and just let loose. I personally just like to lay around and watch TV and just eat junk food and just not do anything all afternoon. That'd probably be the number one thing.
Where do you see yourself in about 10 years?
Well, I hope to see myself in about 10 years with a nice-sized family. I want to have kids, something that I look forward to doing, and I hope to see myself as an educator.
So what will your role be in this year's Miss SAU pageant?
My role in this year's Miss SAU pageant will just be to entertain and help fill in time, actually, while the girls backstage get ready to compete. I'll also be giving up my title to the next girl and hopefully just trying to keep the pageant running nice and smooth.
Do you know this year's contestants?
I know a few of them. I haven't had the opportunity to find out all the girls that will be competing, and I've had the opportunity to help a few of the girls, which has been a lot of fun for me, help them pick out clothes and get ready for interview and work on their talent, things like that. I think there's going to be great competition this year. I know a lot of the girls have competed in pageants before, and we have a lot of new girls who haven't competed. I think they're all going to do a wonderful job. I'm very excited to see who's going to win. I think that it's going to be a wonderful pageant, and I know that whoever wins will do a great job.
Some people have certain scriptures or mottos that guide them through life. Do you have any special phrase or motto that guides you through life?
I sure do. A few years ago, I was having a really bad year, a lot of things going on in my life. And my mom came home one day and she had this little picture frame. And on the inside it was a little bear holding some flowers, and it said, "Don't let weeds grow around your dreams." And that's something that I have to live by. I feel that you can't let the things that people say or the things that people do to you get you down. You have to have a goal in mind and something that you want to go for, which is exactly what I've done. I've had a lot of people tell me that I wasn't good enough, or that my voice wasn't strong enough, or things like that, and I would never be Miss Arkansas. But you know, you can't listen to that. And I know a lot of girls that have been in the same situation that I have, that have risen to the top and become something wonderful with themselves, whether it's Miss Arkansas or just placing in Miss Arkansas. And that's one thing I have to remember, is not to let those weeds get ahead of my dreams.
Well, we hope you can do that.
Thank you.
And this has been the SAU Report. I'm Jamey Giddens.
And I'm Tamika Gulley.
The SAU Report is a production of broadcast journalism students in the Department of Theater and Mass Communication at Southern Arkansas University in Magnolia.